All right, so I'm back. My name is Arnaldo. I'm here with my friend that I just met, Oscar, who runs the Cruz Azul uh, English account to support the Liga MX community. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey man, thank you. Appreciate reaching out, man. Yeah, we're happy to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, man, we got a big game tomorrow, man. Tigres en Cruz Azul, el Estadio Universitario. Um, your team is coming back from a late loss to Santos, man. How you feeling? How you feeling about that loss, and how you feeling about this game coming up?
But the game coming up, I'm definitely nervous just because you know, we were getting lucky against Duca just because as you know, he doesn't change his style of play. So it was so easy to play against just to have him have the ball, have him have that possession out back for 70, 80 minutes and then just get him on the counter when they make a mistake. And I think we've had a pretty positive run at your ground. And then like I said, the loss against Santos, it was just super disappointing just because, we beat Forge convincingly in the CCL during that week, and then we beat Toluca away at their ground. And it just feels like we took a step forward and then it took two step back. We lost at home. How can we lose at home against a team who's down the bottom and they just fired their head coach and they pulled an upset against them. Let's be honest, and they played well too. You know what I mean? We just didn't look cohesive at all.
Do you think it's just the adjustments of the team still? I mean, you guys made a lot of acquisitions this offseason, so I feel like you guys are one of the deepest teams, and like to me, like most likely going to be challenging for the championship. But I think that also like they're not meshing, from the game. I caught the game, so I watched it, and you're right. Santos also played well, but Cruz Azul also played well, but it was like sporadic. Like it wasn't like full like a well-oiled machine yet, like they had been in the past before they lost
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
players.
yeah. I think you summed it up perfectly. Like I said, we're technically in a transition, but the league table doesn't really show that. Just because at the end of the day, I think quality has got us out of games at times.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's just so hard to get all these new players in and try to put them in a system that Juan Reynoso was already working on with previous players who were already established into the team. I mean, if you look at our starting lineup, Lira, Rivero's playing as a left wing, and even though
Mhm.
he's a fullback midfielder, and Gulo, who's replacing Cabecita at this moment, Antuna, who's having a positive run, even Charlie Rodriguez. We just don't have that. They haven't played with each other. You know what I mean? They don't have that chemistry. And just look at any world-renowned football team that get these signings. Even a one signing, it's hard. That transition is hard because you're going into a completely new system. Um, you're going into a system where maybe what your teammates did at your old team is not doing at this team just because the caliber of players or the quality of players has risen and you have to do more defensive duties in a sense. You got to be more of a team player because the main guy is a different, you're not the main guy anymore. So you got to
Mhm.
earn that respect. So yeah, I think you summed it up perfectly there. We just don't have that togetherness, that chemistry that I think we need. But I don't know. I think like games against Necaxa, we lost at home at two, and Santos game have also proven our weak spots. Because you said if you saw the game, you saw like the players that were coming in. Romero, who's an established Paraguayan international with his national team. Otero, another international with the Venezuela national team. Santi Jimenez, who just came off from a brace against the Luca. Like you would think, like in FIFA, this would work, right? You're putting another
Yeah.
two goals in, but that's sometimes what fans think. Like real life game of football is a game of FIFA, and it really isn't. It's far more complicated and more variables that to be applied into a game. You know what I mean?
Who do you think out of like, for this game tomorrow, who do you see has to be important in this game in order for Cruz Azul to thrive?
I think uh,
Especially with the,
to
the team that you're facing, like knowing the way that Piojo plays, who needs to be important? Or, was it the attack, the midfield? What do you think? What do you expect to be the strong
yeah.
asset in this game?
So I feel like to win games or even get a positive result, you got to be offensive in a sense. You also got to be really sturdy at the back and be disciplined. But it's just so hard to pick. I think it's between Charlie Rodriguez and Antuna. Just because to win games you need goals, right? And so if you're gonna break those lines, you gotta have those players to kind of disrupt the play, disrupt that organization and structure to what Piojo is known for. Because the guy's efficient. I don't really like his style of play, his football philosophy, but the guy's efficient.
Yep.
In the league, especially in the league. I mean, to think about, he was getting Xolos back to back in the Guillas and even Super Leader at some point, and now Xolos doesn't even qualify for the Guilla at all. They're like fighting for the bottom.
Yeah.
The guy knows how to get results. He knows how to win. Has struggled winning trophies at times, but he knows how to win games. So yeah, I feel like having that force of Antuna, Charlie Rodriguez, and the other offensive players that can come off the bench to kind of disrupt that organizational play of Tigres, and just be proactive in the sense in the final third. Because like I said, if you want to win we have to win the game now so we can make up for that home loss against Santos. Just because you need to, otherwise you're dropping points at this point. Puebla is skylining up right now. So we need to win, and we need to have our offensive players at their best.
Yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to that midfield battle. I think that Charlie Rodriguez, Eric Lira, and I assume that you guys are probably going to start Baca again in the middle.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, so that midfield, I think it's going to give Tigres some problems because it's going to be a very active midfield. And Tigres, now with the way that they're playing with Piojo, is like a lot more high pressure, a lot higher intensity, when having the ball and not having the ball. So I feel like that's going to be a great matchup because you got young legs in there, and then you got Baca's experience. And then you pointed out Antuna. Antuna to me is, a player that could be a lot more than what, his form has been as of late. And, his potential is high. He's got a lot of upside. So there's where I see Cruz Azul being dangerous especially with how the defense has been, not as reliable in this era of Piojo and so far this season, where we've made errors to give up goals. So that's one of the things that I'm looking for is how dangerous can Antuna be and how mobile your attack can be to go against the Tigres defenders.
I was gonna say, is Chaka still a starter for you guys? I didn't even check.
No, he's not anymore, man. After the national team, when they had the qualifiers, he came back, and Dueñas is now a right back. So,
yes, okay, that's who I saw. Yeah,
and Dueñas has played left back, right back, center
yeah,
defensive
he's
mid.
all over the place.
Yeah, and so in the back line of three, it works because he has that like midfield like presence and like positioning. And Aquino, Tuca made him a left back too. He was turning him into a left back, but playing in a three in the back just allows Aquino to go up as much as he can on the attack and be supportive there, and also like be in a position to come defend. And he still has great speed and like a lot of endurance to go up and down. So he's starting at left back, and then we got Pizarro in a kind of like a sweeper, like stopper role.
Yeah, stopper, yeah.
And so just kind of pushing up into the midfield as a defensive mid when attacking, and then dropping back as a sweeper or stopper in a back line of three.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm worried about Gignac more than anything, because the guy, I mean, whether the rest of Liga MX wants to admit it or not, he's definitely up there with probably one of the best foreigners who come to the league. Like, in my opinion, I don't think he touches Cardoso just yet.
It's hard to do that, man.
It's just so hard. We're talking about like the Alan Shearer of Liga MX. You know what I mean? And he didn't come in his prime years. Remember that, Gignac.
Yeah.
I mean, he was talking about a guy he got goleador in League One, right? If I remember.
He was definitely top three. If I'm not mistaken, he was, but I don't quote me on that. But he was definitely competing with Zlatan, Cavani, and Lacazette one year for like the scoring title.
Yeah. So imagine if he was in Tigres in that year, because he was coming towards kind of not the end of his career, but definitely where physically he probably wasn't at his best compared to what he was when he was scoring all those goals in Ligue 1. But yeah, man. But like I said, I think
And I was gonna say and add to that, and that's the thing, man. Like I feel like that's the common misconception is that his age and his form, like not him coming in his prime. I feel like I watched him over the last 6 years, and he's had like a couple of seasons where he wasn't at his best. But over the last 2 years, he's been in the best shape of his life. Like the man doesn't. The man has his personal trainer. He trains with Tigres. At least with Tuca, he was training with Tigres, and then he was training at home. And then now that the way of training is completely different than how Tuca used to train with Piojo, and like
Yeah.
Tigres has invested in like health science and like rehabilitation methods. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Now like I feel like he's in the best shape of his life. He's not gonna take you one on one. That's not never been his game. But if you look at him, like if you watch the full 90, he's gonna pressure and move all over the field. And that was one of the things that when Tuca was on his way out, he was playing more in a 10 role because he had Carlos Gonzalez. And they were like, oh,
Yeah.
you got him away from the box, like he's not as dangerous anymore. But now he's closer to the box and he's still moving around as much. So his mobility is still high, and the man just has a mentality to like he wants to be a winner, and like that's something that like not every soccer player has, or the discipline and the mentality along with like the production on the field. And so
Yeah. Definitely.
I feel like that's where he knows that he could still keep going. So I don't know how long he's going to play, man, but it's going to be tough and it's going to be rough to watch Tigres without him.
Yeah. I mean, but now you got that new French kid of
Florian, the one.
Florian, the one, yeah, just trying to blink on his last name there, but I mean, what I've seen, I mean, the guy's quality. Just needs to be more consistent of his playing time, but the injuries have hindered that a bit. But like I said, I think we do have our 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 back line is pretty old too, but I think our back line is better than yours just because you have, I don't know, I wouldn't trust your defensive your center backs. I trust Pizarro, but like someone like Diego Reyes, who
Yeah.
I've never rated. I love that he's playing just because his game is so exposed. One game that comes to mind real quick, I think it was we played you guys in I think it was the championship season where Luis Romo played a ball over the top to Cabecita, I believe, and he
Mhm.
just like missed kick. This time is the to try to clear the ball, and Cabecita was through. That's if you're starting for Tigres, I don't think you can pull those type of mistakes and still get consistent playing time. But I love it. I mean, I love that he's playing tomorrow.
he
Um,
he's like that player that like he's good, but like he's always gonna screw up. Like you have these expectations for him, and like he has a couple of good games, and even going back to when he was barely developing at America and went overseas, like high expectations because he can play in the midfield. He had good, he could have the ball at
he's
his
good on the
feet.
ball. I give him that.
But then like he makes silly mistakes, man, or like he gets
Yeah,
lost. Like I feel like his timings and like his positioning at times are off. So yeah, like I don't rate him very high, but I know that it helps that he's a Mexican player, so you can start him and,
yeah,
and use a player of quality as a foreigner up at a position of like attack, and that's what I believe that that's what we're going for, is like the pieces that we have is like focus on our attacks with the foreigners, and like the Mexican base of players is like defensively, Angulo,
yeah.
Aquino, Chaka, Dueñas, Uguayala, who's not getting any playing time, Salcedo when he was here. So I think it's going to be a time where like we're going to need someone to have the high caliber. But I'm with you. I don't rate Diego Reyes very high.
Yeah, and then just like as a, I feel like nowadays, and, football has changed drastically, but I feel like center backs always have to have like that intimidating, like you just don't want to play against him. He just looks like he's going to be a nightmare to play against. We had that in Arden with Pablo Aguilar. That guy is, you do not want to be in a battle with him. Telling you,
Yeah.
if he's going to be with him all night, he's not gonna like you just because he's just an old school defender. You know what
Mhm.
I mean?
And he
And Diego
struggled in the
Reyes is
past
not.
against him. Yeah.
Yeah. And Diego Reyes doesn't have that. He's like, to be honest, he looks like a guy at like the pickup area, the pickup game, just a skinny kid who's good on the ball and everything. But I feel like I could take him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they have that mentality because he doesn't have physically. He's not intimidating. Um,
He's not
he doesn't look
imposing.
like yeah, he's not imposing. So yeah, I feel like that we have that against us. And then you have someone like Angulo, who I like Angulo, but he's still very young. You know what I mean? So we'll see. It depends on what striker plays. So like if Brian Angulo plays, I feel like that will benefit us a little bit just because he has that experience. He is an international with his national team, so he has that maturity that Angulo still hasn't developed yet. And then if he's going against Diego Reyes, then it'll still. I feel like it'll benefit us a little bit. Only I do really rate Pizarro though. He's going to be there. That guy kind of keeps your back three there connected.
Yeah, probably over the last 5 years, man, that guy has been very important to us. And now it looks like his career has taken a new stride with him playing in the back and able to be that third defender in that back line of three and like stepping in on the, when building attacks. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good game. I think there's going to be some goals scored. I'm predicting, on my end, I'm picking us to win at home, riding that 5-game winning streak. I'm thinking a 3-2 score.
High scoring.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that's what's I think both teams it's gonna be an open game.
You think so?
Yep.
I mean, only thing is now if it depends because Juan Reynoso, the thing about with him right now, he doesn't have a distinct style of play right now, especially now that all of his traditional starters have left the club and we've slotted in other players who are similar, but then again, completely different in their positions. So we're either gonna have. He's definitely more on the defensive end at times, especially if we take the lead. We're gonna sit back and have that low block, which I'm not a fan of at times, just because you invite the pressure, even though you are sturdy at the back and you are disciplined. I feel like if you allow the team to grow and get that confidence, eventually they're gonna break through. I mean, it happened to us numerous times already this season. So I hope it's an open end game. I don't know if that's gonna be the case, but we'll find out. Like I said, two styles. Like I said, Piojo definitely has a certain style of play, but then again, mistakes come with that, and that's where Cruz Azul comes in. But like I said, you guys still have the depth, and then you got players who can change a game in an instant, like Ignac at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that Piojo has added, as a strength to the squad is the squad rotation, using all the substitutions, and allowing players to compete for a starting position as opposed to respecting, like Tuca did, your position and your starting position. So I'm excited, man. Anything else you want to add about this game?
No, just a general question for you, I guess. How do you feel about the whole Cordoba situation? He was supposed to be. He's one of those players. I hoped he was going to get that kind of revival what Antuna had, because if you watched any of the Chivas games last season, that just wasn't it. That's why I was kind of hesitant when he first came to Cruz Azul to be like, okay, what Antuna are we going to get? We're going to get the Antuna who bags a hat trick, like he does with the national team. He just looks lively and happy and confident. Or we're going to have kind of an Antuna from Chivas who's a bit more shy on the ball, not necessarily as direct, and just doesn't get involved as much. And then Cordova on his day too, he can be a special player, but it doesn't look like right now he's picked up steam.
I don't think it's gonna happen this season, man. I think he's gonna get playing time. But I don't think he's gonna be an important player. It's tough because like the positions where he could play, like he could either play, where Vigon's at right now as a false nine, but he doesn't have the energy that Vigon has. He doesn't have that high pressure box to box, like, to help defensively and also like build on the attacks. Cordova is, more of a number 10 role, but he never really developed as a number 10 role, because even when he was with America, he was slotted in positions like out on the wing,
all over the place. Yeah.
And so he never, in my opinion, he never fully developed either as a 10. So I think he's kind of in between this, like, should I play center mid? Should I play as an attacking mid? And he doesn't have the depth to play out wide in terms of like the up and down pace.
Yeah.
So I think that this season he's going to play. He's going to be a regular sub in games, but I don't think he's going to be an important player. I think that somebody has to leave in order for him to get some playing time, and like that could be Carioca pretty soon. But I can see us bringing a true defensive midfield, because Carioca's not the defensive midfield that Piojo likes. The guy that like it's gonna jab at you with some legs and stuff. So I feel like for the time being, it was a great bet to acquire him, but I think it's not going to pan out in the way that people thought it was going to be.
Unfortunately, because I'm rooting for the kid at the end of the day.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I root for all. for the most part, I root for like 99.9% of players for the most part because that being a professional athlete, let alone a professional soccer player, that's the dream, man. And then sometimes when it doesn't pan out, it can be really sad. Especially like I feel like anyone who could relate, even if you played just at the like club level, high school level, and I was fortunate enough to play up to the college level. Like it's heartbreaking once like it's gone. You know what I mean? And then you got to deal with the public attention and people saying that you're not good enough. And all this type of stuff. It's a bit harsh, but that's I guess part of the gig, right? Yeah, but I don't know. It's just I feel bad for them sometimes.
I'm hoping that that's what like being at Tigres. Not that he didn't have it at America, but I think that the difference is that coming to Tigres, Nahuel, Pizarro, Gignac have won it all. And
Yeah,
so even though America had been successful in the last few years, especially this last decade, but like coming into that locker room, I feel like the locker room is slightly different in terms of personalities. So that's what I'm hoping, like he gets like, establishes leadership qualities and figures out the other portion of soccer, which I think that that's where he, the mentality he had to work on or has to work on. And I feel like that could be, something that's beneficial in his time at Tigres, like being around all those personality, all that talent that, has made this team successful.
yeah, man. I mean, couldn't agree more. But yeah, let's just hope for, like you said, a back and forth game on Wednesday. The only reason I don't think it'll be such back and forth just because it's only 3-4 day break. On Sunday, maybe they rested. Monday they have a training session, and I think Cruz Azul flew out to Monterrey just today, so there wasn't really much training. So they're just gonna get thrown out there, a little bit, legs feeling like jelly in a sense.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens, man. Congested schedule for us. I don't know about you guys.
Kind of, but I mean, you have more, especially with the CONCACAF. So I think that, and especially like I said, the strengths that I've talked about with Piojo this season is like the substitution. So
Yeah,
I think if he continues to, do that, I think we're okay. I don't think that our schedule is something that concerns me, or I think that even the fans. I think that it's more about like how long can we keep this up, and can we get excited about these 5 wins and this like second season of Piojo's era in terms of getting us to the championship, because we knew the potential was there last season. Now we're
yeah,
here, and now we've had plenty of time to adapt, and the players look different from last season in terms of like looking at how to play the old style versus the new style. So I'm excited, man. I'm super excited for the game tomorrow. I think it's going to be a good game.
yeah. Let's hope so.
Cool, man. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate you. I'll definitely be staying in touch. It was a great conversation we had before recording this and while we were recording this. So thank you again for your time, and I'm grateful.
Yeah, man. Of course, it's always a pleasure speaking to the League MX English community as it's growing right now. So yeah, man. Anytime you need any insight from me on my takes, anything regarding the business sense of things, like I said, don't hesitate to reach out.
Cool. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Take care.